Blessing of Vengeance. Blessing of Vengeance has served for more than 3 decades as a direct conduit for the divine prayers and miracles. It has channeled invocations of destruction onto the heads of the faithful's enemies, and blessing and bolstered the resolve of countless thousands of devoted soldiers. No wonder then that the benedictions of the Hierarch Severus fly with particularly potency when directed through his Warjack. Its eyes glow with fervor when it beholds enemies blasted to ash and lit afire by the holy power of Severus, and others authorized to pass judgment through the name of Menoth. Zealots whisper the blessings of vengeance can see straight into the man's soul, and stands ready to smite the impious. Hierarch Severus has overseen the maintenance of this revenger personally throughout its service, though none of the Protectorate would accuse him of sentimentality. Instead, the decision is purely practical. The Jack's contribution significantly to battle has learned to gauge through its masters accurately and has become well attuned to channeling Severus's prayers. The vassals of Menoth have invested much time and many precious resources rebuilding the Warjacks countless times, a reflection of the great value the Hierarch places on the machine. Severus greets each dawn as a reminder of the countless unbelievers awaiting punishment, and he orders blessings of vengeance made ready for him every day when he takes up his staff and conducts battle. Blessing of Vengeance seems aware that its function as intermediary for holy power requires it to stand unmolested on the field of battle. It perceives the approach of the enemy with palpable hostility, enthusiastically batters away intruders with its shield or obliterates them with unerring swings of its halberd. It will go to any length to avoid distraction in order to answer its master's needs, ready to channel the final reckoning deep into the heart of the enemy. Since Severus' ascension to Hierarch, keeping Blessing of Vengeance pristine and ready for battle has become an even higher priority. An entire choir and dedicated vassals of Menoth attend to the Jack at all times, foregoing the food and rest if necessary to prepare it for the next day's battle. It stands as the final line of defense against those who would harm the leader of their nation and the faith, both a dauntless bodyguard and an intimidating weapon. It has traveled from ancient Ictyr to join the fray in many far-flung battlefields, from the Thornwoods to Laren to Umbri, always at Severus' side and untiring in its loyal vigilance. And yes, having one of these types of jacks would actually make sense as a personal bodyguard. It is a revenger class after all, and this guy is probably light enough and fast enough to be able to block most things that are going to be coming at Severus's way. So yeah, but let's see how much more dangerous this guy actually is, because after all, he is a character and he is bonded to his personal warcaster, even if Severus might not say he prefers this jack, but we all know he definitely does. And as always, we will start with his stat line. He is a speed 5, he is a mat 7, a defense 12, and arm 17. He does have a shield, so that will give him a little bit armor buff. We'll get down to that in a moment. He is a light jack, so he has the abilities of a light jack, which are slam and headbutt. And he has an arc node, as probably described in the text, so he can push out all of the Severus's nice spells onto the enemies way far afield. But let's go over his abilities. Alright, his big one has Bond for Severus. If this model begins the game, it's bonded Severus. We've already read that. So what it does is once per turn, when Severus channels a spell through this model, he gains +2 to the spell's attack and damage roll. So he literally takes the spell from Severus and he amps it up. Makes it way more powerful, way more dangerous. That's probably why Severus likes this guy so much, because he not only takes a spell, but he makes it better. So yeah, enough said on that one, and he's pretty cheap for a jack too, so I can understand why Severus always wants to have this guy. And for everybody that has seen Severus, his spell list is pretty astounding for everything that he can pull out onto the battlefield. The next ability he has is Defensive Strike, so once per turn, when an enemy model advances into and ends its movement or is placed in this model's melee range, this model can immediately make one basic melee attack. So the whole placed is a nice little add-on, because with especially unit movement, all the rest of the units are placed within 2 inches of their main guy who moves. So that is a very useful ability to be able to stab at people that, you know, get into your area. The final ability he has, which makes him very protective of Severus, is Shield Guard. When a friendly model is directly hit by a non-spray range attack, while within 3 inches of this model with Shield Guard, you can choose to have a model with Shield Guard be directly hit instead, and the model is hit and suffers all the damage and effects. A model can use Shield Guard only once per round and cannot use Shield Guard if it's incorporeal, knockdown, or stationary, and it can only be used once per attack. So he's very protective. He amps up spells that Severus shoots through him, and he has defensive strikes, so if anybody gets near him, he can poke him with his halberd. Makes him a very spicy Jack, especially a very defensive Jack. Is he able to take out big, huge, you know, Warjacks and Warbeasts? Maybe not, but he's very protective, so that's always a very useful, as we've mentioned before, on Jacks that have shield guards. So let's go over his weapons. We have his repulsor shield, which gives him a +2 armor as long as his left arm is still capable, so it kicks his armor up to a 19, and with no backstrikes and Mark IV, it's a 19 all the time until that left arm is gone, so fantastic there. The ability on this weapon is Repel. When this model hits an enemy model with this weapon, the model hit is pushed 1 inch directly away from the model. And then when this model is hit with a melee attack, after the attack is resolved, the attacking model is pushed 1 inch directly away. So if he hits you with his shield, he pushes you back. If you hit him, he pushes you back, as long as this weapon is not crippled. So he pushes people away from him if somebody takes a swing at him or if he swings at you with this weapon. So that's actually kind of nice. Allows you to kind of have more field control with him. But let's go over his halberd, his main poking stick. It is a Mat 7 range 2, so he's got range on this one. And a POW 13. Oh, also his shield was a POW 12. So pretty low, but not the worst for a guy who's mostly used for protection. But his halberd is a, well, halberd, 2-inch reach spear or stabby weapon with a little axe head on the top. POW 13, and he has powerful charge. So when this model gains +2 to charge attack rolls with this weapon. So when he's charging, his mat goes up to a 9. So whatever he's charging, he's probably going to hit. But as read and as done up, he is not designed to go into direct combat. He is designed to move out front and be defensive, protect Severus, and amp up Severus's spells like crazy. But as far as him being a stabby thing on a stick that you throw out and you let him, you know, take on the enemy in melee and do all the damage, he is not a damage doer. He is literally a arc node that amps up spells from Severus, and who protects Severus, and he keeps people away from him at all costs. So that's what his specialization is. He is a spell conduit for Severus, and still very good to have, and getting you an additional +2 to attacks and damage from your spells that are arc node through him makes that even more dangerous, you know, for all of Severus's enemies. So